Most people quit too early. They pray for success, but they cannot wait for the process. They plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. The moment life becomes slow, difficult, or painful, they think nothing is working. They compare themselves with others, lose hope, and give up before their time comes. But life has a strange rule. The people who stay patient during hard times are often the ones who win in the end. This is a story about a horse who taught an entire village the true power of patience. In a small, dry village there lived a poor farmer named Dharma. He was not rich, strong, or famous. He only had a tiny house, a few farming tools, and one old horse named Shadow. Shadow was not strong like the young racehorses people admired. He had grown old, his body looked tired, his fur was dusty, and people laughed whenever they saw him walking slowly through the village roads. The villagers often mocked Dharma and told him to sell the useless animal. But Dharma always smiled and replied, "Slow does not mean useless." Every morning before sunrise, he loaded vegetables onto Shadow's back and made the long journey to the market. Despite working hard every day, Dharma earned very little money and often returned home disappointed. One evening, after another terrible day at the market, Dharma sat outside his house with sadness in his eyes. "I work every day, but nothing changes," he whispered. At that moment, Shadow slowly walked toward him and gently rested his head on Dharma's shoulder. Dharma smiled sadly and thanked the horse for understanding him. The next morning, instead of taking the crowded main road, Dharma chose a longer and more dangerous mountain path. The villagers laughed at his decision and called him foolish, but he ignored them and continued moving forward with patience. As they traveled through the mountains, Dharma discovered something unexpected. Wild fruit trees grew along the route, and tired travelers passing through the area often had no place to buy food or water. Realizing an opportunity, Dharma started carrying fruits and water in addition to vegetables. Travelers happily bought from him, and for the first time in months, he returned home with extra money. Week after week, more people began waiting for Dharma because they trusted his kindness and consistency. While other farmers struggled with competition on the main road, Dharma quietly built loyal customers along the mountain route. Months passed, and one afternoon a wealthy merchant noticed Dharma helping an injured traveler without expecting anything in return. He also saw Shadow standing patiently beside them while carrying heavy supplies. Impressed by Dharma's honesty and patience, the merchant offered him a job transporting goods through the mountains every week. Since most people avoided the difficult road, Dharma accepted the opportunity immediately. That one decision slowly transformed his life. Over the years, he earned enough money to buy more land, repair his house, and live peacefully. Yet despite his success, he never forgot Shadow and continued walking beside his old horse every morning. One day, a young boy asked Dharma how he became successful. Smiling at Shadow, Dharma answered, "Because of him." The boy looked confused and replied, "But he's just a horse." Dharma explained that everyone chased quick success and laughed at slow progress. But Shadow had taught him that patience and consistency matter more than speed. Slow steps still move forward, and patience still reaches the destination, he said. Those words stayed in the boy's mind and eventually spread throughout the village. Years later, a terrible storm struck the region and destroyed the main road completely. Farmers who depended on the faster route lost their businesses overnight. However, the mountain path Dharma had used for years remained safe because it had been built on stronger ground. Soon, the entire village depended on Dharma's route for food and supplies. The same villagers who once laughed at Shadow now watched him with respect. One old villager lowered his head and admitted, "We judged him because he was slow." Dharma calmly replied, "The world often laughs at patience because it cannot see the future." As time passed, Shadow grew weaker with age. One peaceful evening under the stars, Dharma gently touched his horse's head and whispered, "You carried more than vegetables. You carried my dreams when nobody believed in me." A few days later, Shadow passed away peacefully near the mountain road they had traveled together for years. Dharma buried him beneath a large tree overlooking the valley. People from the village came to pay their respects because everyone now knew the story of the patient horse. Beside the grave, Dharma placed a wooden sign that read, "Fast people may arrive early, but patient people arrive stronger." And that is the lesson of this story. Patience does not mean doing nothing. It means continuing to move forward even when results are invisible. Most people destroy their future because they cannot survive temporary discomfort. They quit too soon, change direction too quickly, and panic when life becomes slow. But success is not always about talent or speed. Sometimes success belongs to the person who simply refuses to stop. A tree takes years before giving fruit, and a river cuts through rock, not because of power, but because of consistency. Just like Shadow the horse, sometimes the slowest journey creates the strongest life. If life feels slow right now, do not lose hope. Your patience may be building something bigger than you can currently see.